The automotive world has recently been full of tension, discussion, and debate after a major situation involving a crashed hypercar rebuild and strong public statements from both sides. At the center of this story is well-known car builder and YouTuber Matt Armstrong, along with car enthusiast FXG, and the leadership of Bugatti, represented by CEO Mate Rimac. What started as a simple rebuild project has now turned into a much bigger public conversation about safety, responsibility, trust, and control over extremely expensive hypercars. Many fans are watching closely because this is not just about fixing a car. It is about how manufacturers and independent builders interact when something goes wrong. The situation began when a damaged Bugatti Chiron needed repair after a crash. Instead of going back to Bugatti's official workshop, the decision was made to rebuild the car outside the factory system. This immediately raised questions in the automotive community. Can a car designed with extreme precision be safely repaired without the original manufacturer, or does that create hidden risks? These questions became even more important when Bugatti CEO publicly explained why the company is careful about selling parts or supporting outside repairs at the same time. Matt Armstrong, who is known for rebuilding damaged supercars on his channel, accepted the challenge of restoring the Chiron. His goal was not to attack Bugatti or question their engineering. Instead, he wanted to prove that even a heavily damaged hypercar could be brought back to life with careful work and modern repair methods. However, this decision placed him in the middle of a much larger debate that quickly went beyond a normal rebuild project as the story developed. Fans noticed that this was not just a technical discussion anymore. It became emotional and controversial, with strong opinions from both sides. Some people supported Bugatti's strict safety approach, while others supported Matt's practical, hands-on rebuilding method. The disagreement slowly turned into a public clash of ideas, setting the stage for responses, counter-responses, and claims that would follow in the next stages of the controversy. The first major voice in this situation came from Bugatti's leadership. Mate Rimac explained in a public statement that hypercars like the Chiron are not ordinary vehicles. They are built using extremely advanced engineering, expensive materials, and very strict safety systems. According to this view, every part of the car is designed and tested as part of a complete system. Because of this, replacing or repairing parts outside official methods can introduce unknown risks. One of the strongest points made in the explanation was about safety. The CEO highlighted that Bugatti cars are designed to protect lives at extremely high speeds. When a car is damaged, even if it looks reparable, the internal structure might be affected in ways that are not visible. For this reason, Bugatti prefers full control over repairs to make sure nothing compromises the original safety design. From their perspective, selling parts without supervision could lead to incorrect repairs that might endanger drivers in the future. Another important argument was cost and complexity. Building parts for limited production hypercars is extremely expensive because each component is engineered with precision and tested to meet strict standards. This is not like repairing a normal car, where parts are widely available. Every piece in a Bugatti is part of a carefully designed system, and even small changes can affect performance, stability, or crash protection. That is why Bugatti has been cautious about supporting independent rebuilds. This explanation, however, did not stop debate. While many people understood the safety reasoning, others felt it was too strict. Some argued that once a car is sold, the owner should have the right to repair it however they choose. This disagreement became the foundation for the responses that followed from Matt Armstrong and FXG, who both had different views on how the situation should be handled in practice. After Bugatti's explanation, Matt Armstrong responded in a calm and respectful way. He made it clear that he respects Bugatti and the engineering behind their cars. He did not deny their quality or safety standards. Instead, he acknowledged that Bugatti builds some of the most advanced and reliable vehicles in the world. His tone was careful, showing that his goal was not conflict but clarification. Matt explained that the rebuild project was never meant to replicate factory conditions perfectly. He openly admitted that without official Bugatti support or original factory parts, the rebuilt car would not be identical to a brand new Chiron. However, he also emphasized that this does not automatically mean the car would be unsafe. In his view, there is a middle ground between factory perfection and dangerous repairs, and his goal was to stay within that safe middle space. One of the key points in his response was honesty. He stated that he is doing the best possible job with the resources available. Instead of pretending the rebuild would match factory standards exactly, he accepted the limitations up front. This approach gained attention because it showed transparency rather than overconfidence. He also pointed out that if Bugatti ever chose to help in the future, he would welcome their support. Matt also highlighted a practical example. He mentioned that even decisions like whether to reinstall airbags show the seriousness of the project. Instead of turning the car into a stripped-down track machine, he insisted on keeping it road legal and as safe as possible. This showed that his focus was not just appearance or performance, but also responsibility. Overall, Matt's response was seen by many viewers as balanced. He respected Bugatti's position, while also defending his right to rebuild the car. This created even more discussion online, as people began to compare technical safety control with real-world repair possibilities as the situation developed. It became clear that the heart of the conflict was not just about one car, but about two different ways of thinking. On one side, Bugatti believes that safety can only be guaranteed when repairs are done under full factory control. On the other side, Matt, Armstrong believes that skilled independent builders can also restore safety if they follow careful methods and use proper engineering logic. This difference in thinking created a strong debate. From Bugatti's point of view, even small mistakes in repair could lead to serious risks at high speeds. A hypercar like the Chiron can reach extreme performance levels, and at those speeds, even minor structural issues matter. That is why they prefer strict control and official repair channels. In their view, safety is not negotiable. Matt's point of view is more practical. He believes that many damaged cars are already outside factory conditions, so refusing access to parts or support may force people to use less reliable solutions. He argues that if independent builders are not given proper parts, they may still attempt repairs using alternative methods, which could potentially be less safe than a controlled supply system. This disagreement created a complex situation where both sides believe they are protecting safety, but in different ways. One focuses on strict control, while the other focuses on practical repair reality. As a result, the debate became larger than expected and attracted attention from automotive fans, engineers, and content creators. The tension increased further when FXG entered the conversation with his own response, adding more claims and interpretations that changed how people viewed the original statements from Bugatti. FXG entered the discussion with a strong response that supported the idea of rebuilding the car outside Bugatti's official system. He agreed that safety is important and acknowledged that Bugatti's engineering saved lives during the crash. However, he disagreed with the idea that refusing parts is actually a safety decision. Instead, he argued that it might have the opposite effect. According to FXG, if official parts are not provided, builders will still attempt to repair the car using third-party or custom-made solutions. In his view, this increases risk because those parts may not meet the same standards. He argued that it would be safer for manufacturers to support controlled repairs rather than forcing independent solutions without guidance. FXG also made a strong emotional point. He expressed frustration that promises were allegedly made earlier in private conversations about helping with parts and technical support. He claimed that there was an initial agreement or understanding that Bugatti would cooperate in some form. However, later changes in position created confusion and disagreement. He described the shift as sudden and unexpected, suggesting that the situation changed within a short period of time. This added a new layer of controversy because it implied that the disagreement was not just philosophical, but also related to communication and trust. That FXG's response gained attention because it challenged the official narrative and introduced the idea that cooperation was once possible. This made the situation more complicated. As viewers began to question what actually happened behind the scenes, one of the most controversial parts of FXG's statement was a claim that Bugatti initially made promises regarding support. He suggested that during early communication, there was an understanding that parts and even technical assistance might be provided to help ensure a safe rebuild. This included the possibility of a technician being involved to supervise the process. However, FXG claimed that this approach changed within 24 hours. After the initial discussion, he said the support was withdrawn and the position shifted to refusing parts entirely. This sudden change created confusion and frustration, as it suggested that the decision was not stable from the beginning. This claim became a major talking point in the community. If true, It would mean that the rebuild project was initially expected to have manufacturer cooperation, but later lost it. This raised questions about communication, expectations, and decision-making at high corporate levels at the same time. It is important to understand that only the involved parties know the full details of these conversations. Public statements often simplify complex discussions, and different sides may interpret events differently. Still, the claim added fuel to the ongoing debate and increased interest in the story. Another important part of FXG's argument involved the legal status of the crashed car. He pointed out that the vehicle received a salvage title rather than being declared completely destroyed. This distinction is important because a salvage title generally means a car can legally be repaired and returned to road after inspection and restoration. That FXG argued that official inspectors did not classify the car as beyond repair. Then it should be considered reparable in principle. From his perspective, this supports the idea that rebuilding the car is valid and should not be blocked. He used this point to question why official parts and support will be denied if the car is legally allowed to be restored. He also emphasized that modern repair techniques are advanced and capable of restoring heavily damaged vehicles. In his view, skilled builders like Matt Armstrong can use engineering methods, fabrication, and testing to bring cars back safely, even outside factory systems. This argument strengthened the idea that independent rebuilding is possible when done carefully. However, critics of this view argue that legal repair status does not always equal factory-level safety restoration. A salvage title means a car can be repaired, but it does not guarantee it will return to original manufacturer standards. This difference is at the center of the ongoing disagreement. In the end, this situation is not just about one Bugatti Chiron. It represents a much larger conflict in the automotive world between manufacturer control and independent repair freedom. On one side, companies like Bugatti believe strict control is necessary to protect safety at extreme performance levels. On the other side, builders like Matt Armstrong believe skilled independent work can also achieve safe and functional results. The involvement of Mate Rimac highlights how seriously manufacturers take this issue, especially when dealing with hypercars worth millions of dollars. At the same time, creators like Matt and FXG represent a growing movement of independent builders who want more freedom in repairing and rebuilding vehicles. What makes this story so interesting is that both sides claim to care about safety, but they approach it in different ways. One relies on strict systems and control, while the other relies on practical engineering and real-world experience. This difference creates tension, debate, and public interest. As the rebuild continues, the world will likely keep watching closely. The outcome will not only decide the fate of one damaged hypercar, but may also influence how future supercar repairs are handled between manufacturers and independent builders. As the controversy continued to grow, another important factor started to become clear: trust between all parties involved. In situations like this, technical issues are only part of the story. The other part is communication, expectations, and how clearly each side understands what the other is planning. In this case, the disagreement between Matt Armstrong, FXG, and Bugatti leadership was not just about repairing a car. It also became about whether early conversations were fully aligned with later decisions. That FXG's claims about earlier promises added a new emotional layer to the situation. If there was an initial agreement to provide parts or technical support, then the later refusal would naturally feel like a major shift. On the other hand, companies like Bugatti may argue that early discussions are not final commitments, especially when safety reviews and internal evaluations are still ongoing. This creates a gray area where communication can be interpreted differently by each side. Public pressure also played a major role. Once the story became widely discussed online, every statement started to gain more weight. Social media comments, video reactions, and community opinions all added fuel to the situation. When millions of viewers are watching, even small changes in tone or wording can become a big point of discussion. This kind of attention often forces all parties to be more careful, which can also lead to stricter positions rather than flexible cooperation. In many ways, this situation shows how modern internet culture can turn a technical disagreement into a global debate. A private conversation about parts and repairs quickly became a public issue involving reputation, trust, and responsibility. Each side now has to consider not only the technical outcome of the rebuild, but also how their actions are viewed by the wider audience. One of the biggest challenges in this story is the gap between engineering reality and public expectations. Many viewers see a damaged supercar and imagine that it can be repaired like any other car, just with more expensive parts and more advanced tools. However, the reality of hypercar engineering is far more complex. Vehicles like those produced under Bugatti are designed as complete systems, where every component works together with extreme precision. From an engineering point of view, even small changes in structure, weight distribution, or material strength can affect how the car performs at very high speeds. This is why manufacturers often prefer full control over repairs. They are not only thinking about whether the car can drive, but whether it can safely perform at its original limits. This includes crash protection, aerodynamics, braking performance, and stability at extreme speeds. However, public expectations are different. Many fans believe that once a person owns a car, especially after purchasing it or receiving it through insurance processes, they should have full freedom to repair it however they choose. This belief is especially strong in the car enthusiast community, where modification and rebuilding are seen as part of car culture. From this point of view, blocking access to parts can feel restrictive or unfair. This clash between engineering caution and public freedom is not new, but it becomes much more visible when high-profile creators are involved. Because the rebuild is being documented online, millions of people are watching the process and forming opinions based on what they see in videos rather than internal engineering data. This creates a situation where perception and technical reality do not always match.